Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. In my previous life, when Ethan's white moonlight, Rachel Lynn, showed up at our door with her pregnant belly, I still insisted on not divorcing him. Later, she was accidentally pushed down the stairs by some loan sharks trying to collect her debt. 2 lives were lost. Ethan hated me ever since. Not only did he cheat on me and keep a mistress, he even teamed up with Rachel's brother, who suffered from manic episodes and killed me. Before he abandoned me, he looked at me with disgust and said, "You owe Rachel a life. It's time you paid her back." Fine, I must have been blind. After I was reborn, I decisively signed the divorce papers. I let go of any savior complex I had and started mocking the idea of fate. If Ethan wanted to be Rachel's loyal lapdog, then I would let him go all the way. "Lisa, we were classmates once. I'm begging you. Please spare my child and me," Rachel cried, her face soaked in tears, looking like some tragic flower in the rain. She grabbed my hand tightly, and despite being 8 months pregnant, she looked like she was about to kneel to the ground. Her fingernail scraped the back of my hand, bringing a sudden sting that snapped me awake. Instinctively, I touched my neck. No blood. I took in a deep breath and exhaled slowly. My breathing was steady. Nothing felt wrong. I had actually been reborn. One glance at the situation in front of me, and I immediately recognized it. It was exactly 2 years ago. The moment when Rachel finally couldn't hold back anymore, and stormed into our house to force me out. My heart trembled. I couldn't help silently thanking the heavens. They had been so good to me. While I hesitated for a few seconds, my mother-in-law had already rushed to help Rachel before she could kneel. With narrowed eyes and a face full of bitter hatred, she glared at me and said, "You're so vicious making a pregnant woman kneel to you. I'm telling you now, you're getting a divorce whether you want to or not." Rachel was always supposed to be my daughter-in-law, but I had already snatched the divorce agreement from Ethan's hands. The 3 of them looked at me nervously, terrified I'd tear it up, just like I had done in my previous life. Back then, I had just found out I was pregnant. I was originally planning to share the joy with them. You can imagine how I felt. I was furious, hurt, and unwilling to give up. Why should I? Why did I have to step aside the moment Rachel showed up? We had been married for 3 years. I had been there with Ethan through thick and thin, eating cheap noodles, sleeping in a basement, helping him build everything from scratch. I was the one who stayed. And yet, because Rachel's marriage had failed, because she had married a gambling addict, I was the one who had to pay the price. And Ethan just couldn't wait to pick up her mess. "Fine, this time, I'll let you all have your way," Ethan rushed to say. "Lisa, please don't get worked up. Let's split peacefully." But he didn't even get the word up out before I had already signed my name. He was overthinking things. Reborn. I was determined to get as far away from him as possible before he found another way to blame Rachel's future death on me. Just the thought made me sick. When I handed him his copy of the divorce agreement, he was caught so off guard, he didn't even catch it. He hadn't expected me to be so decisive. He knew how much I used to love him. Before this, he'd even tried to lie to me so I'd sign. He said the economy was bad, the company was losing money year after year, and he had taken out a lot of loans that he couldn't repay. He told me that if we got divorced, he would give me the house, the cars, and all the savings as a way of protecting me. Too bad I had already seen through him. I'd long since noticed what was going on between him and Rachel. The moment Rachel cried to him, he would rush to pay off her husband's gambling debts. If he didn't want to be a real man, and preferred being her pathetic servant, then fine. I'd let him go all in. Looking at their stunned, speechless faces, I sneered. "Sorry, but this is my house, not a landfill. Could you all leave now?" "Oh right. I almost forgot about the pregnancy." I took out my prenatal exam report from my bag and held it up to show them. "I'll handle this myself. None of you are fit to be this child's father or grandmother." For the child who never had the chance to be born in my last life, I did feel a bit guilty. But I also knew clearly that I couldn't keep this baby. Only by cutting off everything completely could I truly be free. A flicker of hesitation crossed my mother-in-law's face, but she quickly wiped it away. She patted Rachel's belly with a casual air and said, "We don't care about that kid anyway." It was laughable. She really believed Rachel's baby was Ethan's. And because Rachel was the daughter of her best friend, she had always considered her the rightful daughter-in-law. After Rachel married someone else, she mourned the loss for a long time. As for me, she constantly found fault with me, looked down on me, and never once treated me with a kind face. Ethan glanced at the prenatal exam report in my hand, and it was like he suddenly regained some confidence. With a cold snort he said, "Spare me. Don't think you can tie me down with a baby. Do whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me. I'm never going to leave Rachel. I love her." As he said this, he wrapped his arm around Rachel's shoulders. She leaned into his embrace like a delicate little bird, resting comfortably against his chest, and they looked just like the perfect loving couple. Of course, it had to be him, the kind of man who could abandon his own child just to play father to someone else's. Even in my previous life, I'd found it strange. How could I suddenly lose the baby like that for no reason? At the time, Rachel had just died not long before. Ethan actually smiled when he learned I'd miscarried. He said it was karma. It wasn't until much later that I discovered the truth. He had tampered with the herbal tonic I was drinking. A tiger wouldn't even hurt its own cubs, yet he did worse than a beast. I turned my eyes toward Rachel's belly, clapping slowly with a sardonic smile. Wow, such boundless love. Truly admirable. Rachel's face instantly changed, and Ethan's mother, Sherry, looked confused. Even though she never liked me, she knew I wasn't the type to talk nonsense. "What do you mean by that?" she asked, suspicious now. After all, this was a matter of the Chun family's bloodline. She couldn't afford to take it lightly. She started thinking something wasn't right. Ethan had never actually admitted anything out loud. It was all just her assumptions. Before I could even respond, Ethan panicked and grabbed his mom's arm. "Don't listen to her. She's just trying to stir up trouble. Let's go already." As the front door finally closed behind them, I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. At last, I could fully relax. All the memories from my previous life came flooding back. The three of us had been college classmates, but we hadn't interacted much back then. After graduation, Ethan and I started interning at the same company. That was when we gradually got to know each other. Eventually, he pursued me openly, and we naturally ended up together. After we got married, we left the company to start our own business. One day, I happened to open his laptop and found a hidden photo album. It was full of pictures of Rachel Lynn. That was when I finally remembered her. Ethan admitted to me that he had once liked Rachel, but said he was in love with me now. Plus, Rachel was already married. At the time, I didn't notice anything unusual. But when he mentioned she was married, I caught a fleeting look of regret in his eyes. We had started a logistics company, and as it grew more successful and stable, Ethan told me to step back from the business and focus on getting pregnant. But in less than 6 months, he was already in constant contact with Rachel, helping her financially and emotionally, which was bad enough. But worse, he was willing to do anything, including forcing me into a divorce, just to rescue her from her miserable life. Rachel had married a compulsive gambler and was now buried in debt, chased and harassed by loan sharks. Ethan and Rachel had already come up with a plan. If Ethan paid off all the loan shark debt, her husband would agree to a divorce and give Rachel to Ethan. The whole thing was outrageous. In my previous life, I refused to go along with it. Just 2 weeks later, Rachel was pushed down the stairs by debt collectors and died along with her unborn child. 2 lives gone. Ethan hated me with everything he had. Not long after, he cheated on me with the new secretary at our company. He even rented her an apartment right next to mine just to disgust me. And eventually, he went so far as to have her brother, who suffered from manic episodes, break into my home with a kitchen knife and stab me to death again and again. Even now, as I touched my long, pale neck, I could still feel the sharp pain of that night. I could still remember the suffocating sensation when my windpipe was slit. I couldn't make a sound. I lay there on the floor, eyes bloodshot, staring at Ethan's face. And in that moment, I realized I had never truly known the man I had married. He had sworn to me that whatever he once felt for Rachel was in the past. He had told me I was the one he loved. But just before he abandoned me, he looked me dead in the eye and said, "You owe Rachel a life. It's time to repay it. Ha! I must have been blind. Now, lying in bed with my thoughts racing, I knew that this time I had done them a favor. I'd given them what they wanted. But I couldn't help wondering, would Rachel still die this time? Would that secretary show up again? Of course, what mattered most now was me. I had no intention of dying young again. So I found a lawyer and handed everything over to him, splitting the assets and finalizing the legal details. Let them go live out their drama. As for me, I had a new life to protect. Mine. I booked myself a flight and went on a trip. In my last life, I barely had a single good day. I was orphaned young, raised in an orphanage, got into college, and built a life entirely on my own. After marriage, I suffered even more trying to build a business with Ethan. Once I became a full-time housewife, things didn't get any easier. I had to cook, clean, take care of my husband, deal with a difficult mother-in-law, and endure constant pressure to have a baby. This time around, I was determined to live for myself. True romance begins with loving yourself. I didn't return until the day we officially finalized the divorce. I came back glowing. It was a good day for me. I wore a brand new dress, had my hair done and put on makeup. Ethan couldn't even hide his surprise when he saw me. Rachel frowned with irritation and secretly pinched his arm before he snapped back to reality. "Why are you so late? Hurry up. We've got a prenatal appointment to get to," he said impatiently. I could feel a fire burning quietly in my chest. I knew him well enough. He was mad at me. In his mind, how could I possibly be this composed and carefree about our divorce? According to him, I should have been crying at home, eyes swollen and face haggard. He was a man with a fragile ego, and for years I had tiptoed around it, but not this time. I didn't give him the satisfaction. The divorce papers were finalized quickly. As we walked out, Ethan suddenly stopped and grabbed my arm. "When the baby is born, I'll pay child support," he said. "But don't expect anything else from me. I'll never leave Rachel again." I rolled my eyes so hard they nearly hit the back of my head, scoffed, and turned to walk away without a word. The nerve of this man. Did he really think I was bluffing about ending the pregnancy? I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. Where did he get this confidence from? Thinking I couldn't let him go. That I'd give birth just to be a struggling single mom. Pining over him for the rest of my life. Maybe he'd been reading too many melodramatic romance novels. At the end of the day, he was just pathetic. When I loved him with everything I had, he used my love to hurt me again and again. But the moment I took that love back, he didn't know what to do. Before leaving the courthouse, I stopped by the restroom only to catch sight of Rachel in a corner, locked in a passionate kiss with a man. That man was none other than her ex-husband, Robert Lynn. Wait, ex-husband? Right. They were officially divorced now. Wow, they really knew how to play. All this time, Ethan thought he was Rachel's savior. But it turns out he was just a pawn in their little game. I remembered hearing at a class reunion in my past life that Rachel had always treated Ethan as her backup plan. Clearly, nothing had changed. Yet, Ethan still looked so smug, thinking he'd won. Rachel noticed me, and a flicker of guilt flashed in her eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. "Who do you think Ethan's going to believe? Me or you?" she asked, smug and fearless, thinking I was going to run and tell on her. Do I look like I have time for that? I didn't even bother to answer. I walked right past her. They were all so full of themselves. In the following days, we finished dividing the assets. According to the divorce agreement, I got the house, the car, and the savings. The company went to Ethan. It wasn't a huge logistics company. We had only built up that much over the past few years. Somehow, Rachel still found it worth latching onto. Word was, the moment Ethan got full ownership of the business, he rushed to mortgage it to the bank. He used the loan money to pay off the high-interest debts Rachel's ex-husband owed. The very next day, they posted a photo of their marriage certificate online. Ethan was grinning ear to ear in the picture, like a man who had finally married the love of his life. A week later, I went to the hospital for the procedure. After recovering, I planned to start a new company using the funds I had. I wasn't going to let the experience and connections I'd built over the years go to waste. As luck would have it, while passing through the maternity wing, A nurse came out carrying a newborn. "Family of Rachel Lynn," she called out. Ethan and Sherry immediately rushed forward saying, "We're here." The nurse began explaining the delivery details, and that's when I learned Rachel had gone into labor early. Doing the math, I realized this was the exact day she died in my last life. But not this time. This time, she had survived and given birth to a baby boy. However, due to severe bleeding, she had to have her uterus removed. Sherry, now a proud grandmother, was beaming with joy, grinning so wide you could barely see her eyes. No one even had time to care whether Rachel lived or died. Ethan rushed forward, eager to hold the baby, but Robert Lynn suddenly appeared and beat him to it. "I'm the baby's father," Robert declared. "I get to hold him first." The moment Robert snatched the baby away, Sherry stood frozen in place, completely stunned as she stared at Ethan's now empty arms. My second-hand embarrassment kicked in again. After a long beat, she finally snapped out of it and grabbed Ethan's arm. "Tell me the truth. Whose baby is this really?" she demanded. The drama unfolding right outside the delivery room caught everyone's attention. A crowd quickly gathered, watching the gossip play out live. Ethan's face twisted with shame. He had never been so humiliated in his life. He pulled his mom aside and whispered, "Stop this, okay? Rachel's baby is mine." He barely finished the sentence before Sherry slapped him hard across the face. Her hand trembled. "How dare you lie to me? You seriously want to raise someone else's child? Are you trying to kill me with rage?" Ethan didn't dare make a sound. Meanwhile, the sound of Robert soothing the baby echoed through the hallway, pushing Ethan closer to his breaking point. Eventually, he lost control and rushed up to punch Robert straight in the face. "What the hell are you doing here? Give me the baby. He has nothing to do with you." But Robert wasn't backing down. "And who the hell are you?" "I'm the biological father." The two of them got into a full-on brawl, fists flying. Sherry started shrieking in panic. The onlookers scattered, some running, some yelling. It was chaos. I, however, had lost all interest. It was just another absurd farce. That night, as I was about to fall asleep, I got a message from Sherry. "Lisa, are you asleep yet? How are you feeling? Have you been to the doctor? Is the baby okay? I was too emotional that day. I want to apologize. Don't hold it against me. You're pregnant now. You need to take care of yourself. If you need anything, just let me know. No matter what's going on between you and Ethan, we'll take full responsibility for the baby. The Chun family won't back away." Message after message popped up. She even sent me a red envelope for nutritional supplements. Oh, now she remembers I was pregnant. Wasn't it her who said the Chun family didn't care? I snapped a photo of the completed surgical report and sent it to her. "Too late," I replied. Then I blocked and deleted her in one go. I felt instantly refreshed. I could practically imagine her screaming in rage at her phone. The grandson she had been so obsessed with turned out not to be her son's, and her precious daughter-in-law had lost her ability to have children the moment she walked in the door. Double defeat. My body recovered quickly. A few days later, I began preparing for my new company. Thanks to my experience, the early stage work went smoothly. Within 2 weeks, all the necessary paperwork was completed. Now the only thing left was clients, and that was proving a bit tricky. I had always managed client relations in our previous company. Technically, they were now Ethan's clients, but clients weren't marital property. Whoever could win them over got them fair and square. Trying to poach clients from others might be morally questionable, but stealing them from Ethan, I had no guilt whatsoever. Still, I couldn't go around publicly airing my divorce like a badge of honor. Sure, I was the victim, but if I made too much noise about it, people might just laugh at me behind my back. The impact would be far less than if the truth came out on its own. Then unexpectedly, Sherry showed up at my new company. I thought she was there to pick a fight over the baby, but to my surprise, she came bearing a fancy gift basket and a wide smile. "Lisa," she called sweetly, like we'd always been close. It almost made my skin crawl. "This is premium bird's nest soup I had a friend bring back from overseas. It's for your health." I froze for a few seconds. Was this really the same Sherry? When had she ever spoken to me so gently? Seeing me silent, she went on, "Don't be upset with me. I've been by your house several times, but no one was there. Then I heard you sold it and opened a new business. She wasn't wrong. I had sold the house I got in the divorce to fund the startup. Since money was tight, I was now renting a place near the office, but her attitude put me on high alert. Something was definitely off, and I wasn't about to accept anything from her. I asked bluntly, "Didn't Rachel just give you a grandson? Why aren't you home taking care of him? What are you doing here with me?" At the mention of that, Sherry's face twisted like she had just swallowed a pile of crap. She immediately started cursing Rachel, calling her shameless for daring to trick her son and pass off another man's child as the blood of the Chun family. She clutched my hand, apologizing for all the wrongs she'd done to me in the past. She said she regretted everything deeply, that if she had known things would turn out like this, she never would have let Ethan divorce me. "Lisa, sweetie," she said with false sincerity, "you still have feelings for Ethan, don't you? Once you've recovered, maybe you can give him another child. I'm begging you as a mother." After rambling in circles for what felt like forever, she finally revealed her real reason for being here. She wanted me to give birth to another grandchild for the Chun family. Unbelievable. How dare she even say that to my face? I had half a mind to curse her out and throw her out immediately. But just then I spotted Ethan walking past with several men in suits, greeting them politely. No doubt about it, they were clients of his. I recognized a couple of them right away. That's right. My new company was located right next door to Ethan's. I'd spent 3 years navigating this district. I knew it like the back of my hand. It was the best location I could have chosen. And now, just like fate had planned it, opportunity was standing right in front of me. God really was looking out for me. I instantly pushed Sherry's hand away, raised my voice and cried out, "This is too much. How can you people bully me like this? For 3 years of marriage, I treated you like my own mother. I've never done anything to wrong Ethan or this family." My voice trembled with emotion as I pointed at Sherry, looking heartbroken. "And how did you treat me in return? You lied to me, ganged up with another woman to force me into a divorce. I was pregnant at the time. That was your Chun family's own flesh and blood. How could you be so cruel? Sure, they say family scandals shouldn't be aired in public. But I wasn't the one who did something shameful. So why should I be the one to stay quiet? Look what silence got me in my last life. Nothing but misery. I might as well blow it all up this time and let everyone know what kind of people they really were. Let's see who ends up embarrassed." I squatted down, pretending to break down in tears. As Ethan's footsteps drew nearer, a panicked Sherry reached out to comfort me. I slapped her hand away again. "Don't touch me," I sobbed. "You were the ones who forced me to get a divorce. Didn't you say Rachel was your ideal daughter-in-law? Go find her then. And now you want me to have another child for your family? What do you take me for? A baby-making machine? This is inhumane." I turned and ran back into my office, tears running down my face. But inside, I was barely holding back laughter. I had just dumped every one of Ethan's dirty secrets in front of his clients. Let's see how he cleans up that mess. I didn't go far, just ducked behind the front door and peeked out. Ethan immediately grabbed Sherry, his face full of anger and frustration. "Mom, what the hell are you doing? Can you stop making things worse?" Sherry, already fuming, exploded when he snapped at her. "Who am I doing this for? Huh? You seriously want to spend the rest of your life raising another man's kid? Let the Chun family line die out? You said Lisa would have the baby, didn't you? Where's the baby now? Gone. That was my real grandson and now he's gone too." "Mom, please," Ethan begged. "Can we talk about this at home?" He was practically pleading now. Getting exposed like that by his own mother in front of outsiders had made him completely lose face. His clients looked visibly awkward, shifting on their feet. One finally broke the silence. "Mr. Chun, I think we'll have to cancel this deal. Goodbye." The others all nodded and followed suit, giving curt goodbyes before turning and walking away. Ethan tried to chase after them, but Sherry kept dragging on his arm, refusing to let go. "I don't care what you say. If I don't get a grandson, I'll never rest in peace. You owe me a grandson. You hear me?" Everything I had just pulled used up every ounce of acting I had in me. But it was totally worth it. I was thrilled with the results, especially seeing Ethan's face full of panic and desperation. I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. In our past life, I had made things far too easy for him. No wonder he never appreciated what I gave up for him. Let them suffer this time. I was done carrying the burden. The business circle in this city wasn't that big. The news that I, the wife who had struggled and suffered alongside Ethan, had been heartlessly discarded by him, spread quickly. Anyone with a shred of common sense wouldn't want to work with someone who abandoned his wife so easily. If he could throw away his own wife, what loyalty would he have to business partners? Ethan's character was being openly questioned. Over the next few days, one client after another defected to my company. I hadn't spent all those years working for nothing. In fact, my abilities were even sharper than his, and the clients recognized that. Of course, part of their decision came from sympathy. I won't deny that. But either way, my new company took off quickly and gained momentum fast. To make matters even better, after Rachel finished her postpartum recovery, she joined Ethan's company in a managerial role. Maybe it was the classic new broom sweeps clean routine. But as soon as she arrived, she fired a bunch of veteran employees. I gladly scooped them all up. They were like reinforcements, and my company was stronger than ever. That afternoon, I had just seen off a client, an old high school classmate named Alex Shu. He'd wanted to invest in our business last year, but Ethan had refused, saying Alex had ulterior motives. What a joke. After spending just a few days working with him, I could clearly see that Alex was straightforward, professional, and full of fresh ideas. Ethan had simply been projecting his own insecurities. Speak of the devil. Ethan appeared behind me just as I turned around. I jumped, startled. Before I could say a word, he stormed up, grabbed my arm, and barked. So this is how you do business, dressing like that just to seduce men? Don't you have any shame? I yanked my arm free and stared at him like he was mentally unwell. What the hell are you barking about? What I do has nothing to do with you. You're allowed to chase true love, but I have to stay pure and untouched. Are you stuck in some ancient dynasty? You're like a leftover remnant from a fallen empire that refuses to move on. I added, my voice sharp. That hit a nerve. Ethan's face twisted with embarrassment and something else. Anger, yes, but also confusion, doubt. Maybe he was wondering if I really didn't love him anymore, or if I was just putting on a front to win him back. That twisted confidence of his was something I had built up over the years. And in the end, it had become the blade he used to hurt me. He stood in silence for a moment, trying to act like he was letting the matter slide. His expression softened slightly, like he was doing me a favor by not pressing the issue. Then he said, "Didn't I tell you my mom's in the hospital?" He had messaged me that part was true. Sherry had fallen ill as soon as she got home that day. Her high blood pressure and heart condition had flared up after Ethan's outburst, and it had gotten serious. But what the hell did that have to do with me? I scoffed, turned around, and muttered, "What a lunatic." Ethan chased after me. "Don't walk away. My mom's in the hospital, and you're not even going to check on her." I burst out laughing. "Are you hearing yourself? You're such a devoted son, huh? Your mother's in the hospital. And instead of you or your wife taking care of her, you want me, your ex-wife, to do it? Do you even hear how ridiculous you sound?" As I spoke, I kicked him lightly in the shin to keep him from getting too close. "You used to do these things," he mumbled like a scolded child. "Rachel doesn't know how to." He stopped himself mid-sentence. I picked it right up. "So I was supposed to keep throwing myself at your feet, slaving away for your mom like some maid, just because you thought it gave me a shot at winning you back? Is that what you actually think? You really are full of yourself." Ethan stood frozen. The words he'd wanted to say caught in his throat, stinging like he'd swallowed chili oil. I just laughed light and clear. A man without self-respect is like a rotten cabbage. Stop trying to disgust me. Just get lost. The veins on Ethan's temple bulged, his face flushing an angry red. His hand shook as he pointed at me. You'll regret this." He stormed off in a rage. Hopefully this time he finally understood. I didn't love him anymore. Not even a little. I hated him. I was utterly, completely disgusted by him. Maybe now he'd stop humiliating himself, stop showing up to spout nonsense, and act like a toddler throwing tantrums. Because honestly, at this point, he didn't even seem like a functioning adult. For a while after that, I barely saw Ethan around at all. One evening after work, I happened to be walking behind a few of his company's female employees when I overheard them chatting. Apparently, he'd been spending most of his time at the hospital taking care of his mother. One of the women said, "Well, Mr. Chen kind of brought this on himself. Back when his ex-wife was around, he never had to worry about any of this." "She'll keep your voice down," another warned, glancing around nervously. "If that new supervisor hears you, we'll both be packing up by tomorrow." But someone else snorted dismissively. "So what? I've been thinking about switching over to Mr. Chen's department anyway. Ethan doesn't know what he's doing. He spends all day holed up in his office with that new manager, Rachel, and no one knows what they're doing in there." "Exactly," another chimed in. "I passed by their office the other day. It was the middle of the day, but the doors and windows were all shut tight." My heart skipped a beat. Could it be? A second later, I saw Rachel walk out of the building, and right behind her was none other than Robert Lin, her ex-husband. Unbelievable. He wasn't even trying to hide it. The audacity of this woman keeping her lover right under Ethan's nose. What's that saying? When someone's been spoiled long enough, they really start to think they're untouchable. Yeah, that's exactly what this looked like. Still, it wasn't any of my business. I had enough on my plate, just keeping my own company running. Time flew by, and another 2 weeks passed in a blur. One afternoon, I was in my office going over reports when I suddenly heard a familiar voice yelling from downstairs. "You keep giving him money. That's bad enough, but now you've brought him into the company. Do you even understand the kind of mess he's made this time?" It was Ethan. I leaned out the window and saw him standing outside wearing a wrinkled suit, his hair a total mess, and a scruffy beard that hadn't seen a razor in days. He looked like he hadn't slept, let alone changed clothes. He was yelling at Rachel. I couldn't help but smirk. He looked like he didn't even have the guts to enter his own building. Guess that's why he was airing all this in public. Rachel burst into tears on cue, crying as if someone had flipped a switch. I didn't think he'd be so careless. I just thought that if he had a stable job, he wouldn't go back to gambling. I already knew what they were talking about. Robert Lin had been responsible for a major shipment and completely forgot to send it out. The client had sent someone over to check on it just yesterday, and Robert had the nerve to cuss them out. The order had a signed contract, plain as day. Now, Ethan's company was facing penalties for breach of contract. That man was a walking disaster. Ethan was on the verge of a meltdown. How long are you going to keep bailing him out? Do you even know who you're supposed to be living your life with? I've done everything for you. You said you didn't know how to do housework, so I did it. You said you couldn't take care of people, so I did that too. I've been running back and forth between the hospital and home. I've become a damn wreck. These are all things you're supposed to be doing as my wife. Wow. So the moment a man is forced to do housework, he suddenly discovers his talent for whining. Rachel was sobbing hard, her voice breaking as she said, "But he's still my son's biological father. Before we got married, you said you'd do anything just to be with me. Even die for it." And there it was, the classic white moonlight effect. Her soft, delicate words instantly dissolved Ethan's fury. His face relaxed. "It's not that I don't love you," she murmured. "It's just, you're starting to regret it, aren't you? You've been thinking about your virtuous ex-wife again, haven't you? I know I can't compare to her." Watching her play the poor little damsel, I had to wonder, how could Ethan possibly resist? Sure enough, he couldn't. He pulled her into his arms right away, whispering sweet nothings as if he'd completely forgotten why he was angry in the first place. Neither of them noticed me watching from the window above, a deadpan expression on my face. Go ahead, be in love. Knock yourselves out. But do you really have to bring me up every damn time? So annoying. If I weren't such a civilized and polite person, I might have just spit out the window on instinct. Soon after, Rachel had to resign from her post. Officially, it was to restore confidence in the rest of the senior management team, but Robert Lin stayed on. Ethan demoted him and moved him to the warehouse. He was trying to separate them. He wanted to stop Rachel and Robert from having any more contact. That told me everything I needed to know. Ethan was well aware of where he stood in Rachel's heart. He just didn't want to admit it. Just like in our past life when he tried to trick me into signing the divorce agreement. When I caught him, I told him clearly. Rachel only wanted him for his money. And what did he say back then? He said, even if she wants my life, I'd give it to her willingly. But looking at him now, he doesn't seem so willing anymore. That's the thing with men. In the heat of the moment, they'll swear eternal love. But give them time, and they won't even recognize their own words because some truths never change. What they can't have will always be what they want the most. Other than me, Alex Shu was the largest shareholder in the company. Once he stepped in to help with management, I was finally able to take some time off and go abroad for further studies, something I'd always wanted to do. But back then, the company needed me. And after that, I was pressured to have a baby. So I gradually gave up on the idea. Now I had no attachments, no burdens. This was the perfect time to focus on myself and grow. While I was away, I wasn't as connected to day-to-day news, but a few juicy updates still found their way to me. I heard that after lying low for a while, Rachel started showing up at the company again, frequently, in fact, and often brought her infant son along. It wasn't long before everyone knew the truth. Ethan's son wasn't actually his. Word also got out that Sherry, Ethan's mother, had accidentally fallen down the stairs and become paralyzed. And rumors were swirling about Ethan, too, specifically about his flirtatious relationship with the new secretary at his company. When I saw the photo one of the employees had secretly snapped and sent to me, I recognized the secretary at a glance. It was Summerlin. So she had shown up again after all. I felt both a chill of fear and a spark of relief. Relief that I had run fast enough this time that no matter how sharp the knife in her manic brother's hand, it wouldn't reach me anymore. By the time I returned home, more than half a year had passed. I had left in the warmth of spring, and now I was coming back in the dead of winter. The moment I stepped out of the airport, a cold wind smacked me in the face. I hugged my coat tighter and rubbed my hands together as I waited by the curb for Alex to bring the car around. That's when I spotted a familiar silhouette crashing through the crowd in a panic. He was chasing two men shouting breathlessly, "Mr. Tsenong, Mr. Wang, please don't go. Just give me one more minute. This crisis is only temporary. The company won't collapse. Please reconsider. Don't pull out your investments." It was Ethan. He was running so fast he nearly grabbed one of the men's sleeves several times. But they always stayed one step ahead, their assistants blocking his way. "Please just listen to me." Ethan was drenched in sweat, so out of breath that he tripped and fell flat on his face. He looked like a complete mess. Finally, the two men stopped. Mr. Tsiang turned around and said, "What else is there to say, Ethan? We gave you chances, but you were the one who misused company funds and never gave us a proper explanation. And now what? Your wife ran off with all the money. You might as well just sit back and wait for the bank to seize what's left of the company." Mr. Wang added, "Back when Lisa was around, nothing like this ever happened. You've lost all credibility with us. This is the end." And with that, they walked into the departure gate without a glance back. Ethan kept yelling, trying to call them back, but they didn't even slow down. I knew those two very well. They were among the company's original investors. Back then, I was the one who worked so hard to win them over. And even though Ethan's company had nothing to do with me anymore, watching him destroy everything we built together still left a bitter taste in my mouth, misappropriating company funds. I could already guess that Rachel had funneled the money to Robert Lin. But what caught me off guard was what they said about Ethan's wife taking all the money and running. What did that mean? It looked like I'd missed quite a show in the past 6 months. As I was getting into the car, I noticed Ethan looking in my direction. I paused and met his gaze. He immediately scrambled to his feet like a kid caught stealing snacks, panic written all over his face. As Alex's car pulled away, I saw Ethan in the rearview mirror chasing after us. He stopped on the curb, staring in the direction we were driving with a look of regret frozen on his face. During the ride, Alex filled me in on everything. 3 days ago, Rachel and Summerlin ran off with every cent the company had. Not just company accounts. Even Sherry's name was dragged into it. Rachel had forced her, a paralyzed woman, to sign over power of attorney so they could mortgage her old house. I was stunned. Not because Rachel would steal money and flee. That part didn't surprise me. But because of Summer Lynn. How had she ended up conspiring with Rachel? So Summer must have been working with Robert Lynn too. Which meant in the previous life, was it Robert who had deliberately sent Summer to get close to Ethan? All to gain control of his assets. Unfortunately, I had died too early to know what happened next. I could only speculate now. But no matter what the truth was, one thing was certain. This entire disaster was Ethan's fault. In my past life, I lost my life trying to save him from the edge. In this life, he could suffer the consequences alone. He deserved every bit of it. I didn't feel the slightest bit of sympathy. Of course, that didn't stop him from showing up again. He appeared at my office door holding a bouquet of deep red roses. Those same out-of-season ones that bloom in the 8th cycle. His face was full of forced cheer as he smiled and said, "Lisa, these are your favorite red roses." I didn't take the roses, nor did I say a word. I just stared coldly at Ethan. If I remembered correctly, tomorrow was the bank's final deadline. If he still couldn't repay the loan, the company would be seized. The stiff, forced smile on his face told me everything. He must have wrestled with himself for a long time before finally showing up here. He could grovel for Rachel. He could beg others with his head bowed low. But I was the one person he least wanted to face. And yet I was his last hope. After a long silence, there was a sudden thud. Ethan dropped to his knees in front of me. "Lisa, I was wrong," he said. "You were right all along. Rachel's a liar. She never loved me. She was always in love with that gambling addict, Robert Lynn. They cheated behind my back, brought him into our home while I was away. My mom caught them together, and they pushed her down the stairs. I regret everything. Lisa, I was blind. Completely blind. I made a huge mistake. I'm not even human. Can you forgive me? Please give me one more chance. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." He sounded sincere, even slapped himself in the face a few times while crying. But all it did was make me even more disgusted. Let's take his words at face value. Rachel and Robert were caught in the act, and Sherry ended up paralyzed after falling down the stairs. That incident must have happened at least 2 months before Rachel and Summer Lynn ran off with all the money. So what had Ethan been doing during those 2 months? He didn't divorce Rachel. He didn't stand up for his mother. He did nothing. If that's how he treated his own mother, there was no way his so-called remorse was real. Most likely, all he'd done in that time was try to win Rachel back. You couldn't find a more pathetic lapdog. When I stayed silent for a long while, Ethan probably assumed I was softening just like before. He suddenly lunged forward, wrapping his arms around my calf, and shaking it desperately. "Lisa, you're the kindest person I know. I knew you still loved me. You won't leave me like this, right? Just help me through this one crisis and I swear." Bang. I slammed my hand on the desk, shot to my feet, and kicked him away with all my strength. "Security!" I shouted, hands on my hips. As the security guards came in and dragged him out, Ethan looked completely stunned, like he couldn't believe what was happening. In his mind, he had always been my white moonlight. However he treated Rachel, that was how he believed I should treat him. Too bad he never moved me, not even for a second. Otherwise, I would have deserved every bit of pain I got in my past life. Ethan's company was officially seized by the bank. A public auction would follow. Alex and I agreed we had to buy it. It was critical for the expansion of our company. This was ours for the taking. The day we won the auction, I received a call from the police. They needed me to identify a body. Even though I thought I had prepared myself, I was still shocked by the state of Ethan's corpse. His body was covered in deep stab wounds. His face especially was completely mangled, unrecognizable. The fatal wound was on his neck, but it was clear the attacker had slashed at him multiple times, nearly severing his entire head. It was horrifying, almost easy to imagine the frenzy and rage behind each strike. Alex had come with me. He frowned and asked, "Who the hell did your ex piss off? That kind of hatred doesn't come from nowhere." A nearby officer came forward and explained the case in detail. The killer was Summer Lynn's younger brother, the one with manic episodes. After Summer vanished, Her brother had been scouring the city looking for her. Since Ethan had been romantically involved with Summer, the brother assumed Ethan knew where she was hiding. But no matter how many times he asked, Ethan never gave him an answer. Finally, in a fit of rage, he stormed in with a kitchen knife and hacked Ethan to death. So, the knife had landed on Ethan after all. Call it karma, fate, even. The police also told us that Rachel, Summer, and Robert had fled the country together using illegal channels. It looked like they'd taken the stolen money and gone off to live the high life abroad. Chances were they'd never come back. But Robert was a compulsive gambler. That kind of money wouldn't last him long. And no one could predict what a desperate man like that might do once he burned through it all. As we were about to leave the station, a bony, withered hand suddenly clutched the corner of my coat. It was Sherry, Ethan's mother. The one we had all forgotten was still there. Now sitting in a wheelchair, her face twisted and her eyes blank. She could no longer speak, only let out faint guttural sounds. She looked at me with tears streaming down her face. It seemed like she had 1,000 things she wanted to say. But no matter what she tried to express now, it was already too late. She and her precious son had only themselves to blame for ending up like this. Back then, Ethan's undying devotion to Rachel wasn't just his doing. Sherry had helped feed it, too. As we walked out of the police station, I heard Alex let out a long sigh and mutter, "Heaven may forgive acts of fate, but no one survives the consequences of their own making." I glanced at him, a little surprised. "You don't think she's pitiful?" Sherry was now nothing but a shell of a person. On top of that, her only son had died a gruesome death. A mother burying her child, white hair mourning black, is about the cruelest fate imaginable. I figured no one besides me would ever feel a hint of sympathy for what she'd become. But I could understand. After all, they'd never experienced firsthand what I had gone through all those years. The pain, the betrayal, it hadn't been theirs to bear. Alex simply shrugged. They made their own choices. What's there to pity? Don't tell me you're feeling saintly now. Shoo. As if. I lifted my chin and walked forward with confident strides. A few months later, a major human trafficking case made national headlines. A suspect, a man surnamed Luo, had been captured by police in a border city. According to the clues he provided, authorities raided several criminal hideouts, successfully dismantled multiple trafficking rings, and rescued 2 victims. One surnamed Lin, the other Shia. It was Rachel and,